You are listening to the Tracy L. Clark Show with me, Tracy L., where I'm going to empower you and teach you how to live your extraordinary life. Tune in every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio, where I combine ministry, science, and spirituality to reveal the steps you need to let go of your perceived limitations. Have you had the limiting self-talk over and over? Have you noticed you allow your fears to hold you back? If you're truly ready for change, I invite you to join me, Tracy L. Clark, and start your journey of transformation now. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tracy L. Clark Show. I'm so happy to have our returning listeners and to our new listeners, no matter where or when you get this. You might be live with us today, but I know a lot of you do follow up with the radio show on iTunes and Spotify, Facebook, YouTube. There's 90 different ways that you can actually iHeartRadio that you can enjoy the show. One of the things I want to say today, our show is about anxiety, getting through the holidays, and understanding how you can make new choices. And it's really about new choices and becoming unstuck from things that you're actually used to doing on a regular basis. So it is a call-in show, 1-800-930-2819. If I got that number wrong, I know Zach will let me know. I'm going off the top of my head here. Remember in the old days when you could actually remember everybody's number? It doesn't happen that way all the time anymore. But while you're listening to the show today, I really want you to have your intention of what is it that you're ready to change? What is it that you're ready to really let go of for 2020? Because it's really, really important. So I'm also very excited because last week we had Doris Marcos with us, who is one of our super facilitators on our website at tracylclark.com, because sometimes it's harder to get to me all the time as our programs are changing to make sure I can help more of you. That's what happens when we grow. So thank you, God. I want to push that out to all of you. So today we have one of our other super facilitators, Rob Laird, with us, who is also going to be shifting together. So you get two of us. So welcome, Rob. I'm happy to have you here today.
Thanks very much, Tracy. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I love it because not only you incorporate the body regen, but you take the lead on breathing, which we know during the holiday times, people need to learn to breathe. It's interesting. They get so stressed out. And because of my schedule, I had to have my Christmas on Sunday. So that was December 1st. We had our Christmas. And I had this huge epiphany because everybody waits for this one big day, right? And they celebrate. And it doesn't matter what holiday it is. It's on that day. And I was like, well, whatever. It's just a day. We're going to make it this day. There was no stress. The food was the best food I've ever cooked. Now, I cook a really great turkey, like moist. I got my turkey down pat, guys. But, and it doesn't make you tired because it's the organic. I go to the farm, like this is prep. But it was so fun and it felt like the actual day. And I'm like, oh my God, here's all these people getting anxious, running around town for one day going, okay, I have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So I'm going to spend 2 hours with my husband's relatives and 2 hours with my relatives and 2 hours with the aunts and 2 hours with the kids. And they create stress when I'm like, you could actually spread it out to the whole month and enjoy peace and fun with everyone. Like that right there would wipe out a whole bunch of anxiety. Don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. It's funny that you say that. I mean, it's not the Christmas, but
yeah,
my wife, Julie, and I, our anniversary is in August. And you wouldn't believe how many times we miss it. Like we forget. we just forget. Because what we do is we actually go against the norm and we celebrate our anniversary of our first date, the first in May. And that's when we have our anniversary Easter because that's what we want to do. Other people go, oh, happy anniversary. And, oh, I missed it.
Yeah, you made it a different day. It's what is important to you and what works for you. And so I just want to say to the listeners that think about how stuck people are in rituals and routines, and they're making it so hard on themselves when it doesn't have to be that hard.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, it can be fun. If you start applying the tools that you teach for holidays, they can actually be really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, really enjoyable. I know you have a very good story about a family event and how you changed the energy. Do you want to share that quickly before we go to Jennifer on the line?
Sure, of course. So we had we had a family lunch. All of Julie's family was flying in. So we got invited to this lunch. And of all days, they picked Black Friday. And we had to drive all the way across
Oh, actual
Toronto.
Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Rita, we aligned ourselves to the traffic and made it there in record time during all this craziness. And we got into this lunch and we weren't looking forward to it. We wanted to see her family. That's who we wanted to see. And there was all these other people that were invited. And we got in there and all of her family was at one end of the table and all these other people were at the other side of the table. And we had an absolutely wonderful time. And it was amazing because it was like there was two separate tables. It was all dark and heavy at the other side. And we were all laughing and having a great time. And I honestly, I could not even tell you who was at the other end. Like I couldn't identify them in the lineup.
Yeah.
And I just spent a whole lunch with them. And when we left, well, we were laughing. We looked at each other and go, what the hell was that? That was the weirdest lunch we had ever had. And then when we started talking to each other, we realized that on the way there, we started using the tools. And I was asking for a spirit of distraction for the other people. And Julie was cloaking us.
See, they wouldn't see you. Yeah.
So when we got in there, they left us alone. They did their own thing and we were doing ours. And we had the best lunch ever. We had such a wonderful time.
I love that story because it's a great testimonial of when you learn some of the simple tools we teach every day. So when you go out every day, you have tools like this that you can go and enjoy. And then there's no judgment. It just is what it is. And if it was meant to shift, then spirit would have shifted it. But there was no reason to have a different interaction. So anybody listening, like this is what it's about, applying simple tools that you can use. That's why I like to call them simple tools because nobody has time for complicated anymore. Not at all. I want to actually go to the line if you're okay. Well, Zach, can we bring Jennifer in? Hi, Jennifer. Hello? Did we lose her?
Jennifer from Toronto, you are on the air.
Hi, Tracy.
Oh, hello. We thought we lost you there.
I thought so too.
It's all good. What's your question for us today? We're going to play.
Okay. For this holiday season, I'm going through a little bit of personal challenges.
Yep.
And there's a little bit of anxiety there because I'm not sure how it's going to play out. I'm using the tool of the tapping the heart, but I just want an extra boost from you, please, because I'm really...
Yeah. So,
sure.
Rob, do you want to jump in first before I go to...
Well, the first thing I'd have to say, Jen, is instead of putting pressure on yourself for all of this, choose exactly what you want to do that makes you feel good. One of the big things that we do in this time of season that's really difficult is everybody always arranges their schedules according to other people's expectations. And I remember with my ex-wife when I was married, we used to, okay, today we're going to your family, tomorrow my family, tomorrow this, blah, blah, blah. And I hated it, man. I didn't want to be at any of these places.
Yeah.
And now what Julie and I do is we sit back and we talk and we go, well, does this make you feel good? Do you really want to do this? And if we don't go.
Yeah, there's a space here that we can move out energetically that I love, Jen, is just to really have you in. And it's exactly what we've been talking about. And what Rob just said is I'm going to increase the awareness to check in myself and say, I want to make this my favorite and best holiday. So how do I feel about? So when you're tapping your heart with the one simple tool, if people listening haven't seen it, I'd suggest you go to my website, tracylclark.com. It's on the YouTube there. It's also a lot in your if you sign up for the newsletter, it's in the newsletter membership for free. It's there. But what we can do is just adjust that a little bit more. So it looks like if you're asking yourself, okay, thank you, God or Spirit Divine, what is it that I truthfully want to do this year? And to enjoy it. And where you can see there's energy levels, because that looks like where you're getting more anxious, like are my energy levels going to be high enough to be able to get it through and have a good time with my family. So boundaries comes up huge. So I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to put some different boundaries. And then on the days that you're like, you know what, I'm going to let this I just had a weird deja vu. I love it. Let this holiday just as I want it to be. That's where you're sticking. It's sort of that boundary place. How does that feel when I say that? Because that's what I have to shift to say, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now, or I'm not able to do that. And then really honor what your body needs, because your body's showing very clean and very strong. There's a lot of old imprinting we have to move out still, which is like remnants. So that's good. It's going. But how does the body feel when I shift that in terms of just really honoring yourself?
It feels better.
Yeah, that is the key, is to really honor. And one of the things I'm going to say to you, and people don't know this, in our the Miraculous Academy, which I know you're in, where we support you 5 days a week. But this is the other thing. We don't just support you 5 days a week. When you have the challenges you're going through like this, you make sure you stay in contact with us. And this is where we come together as a community to make sure everybody in there is supported while you're going through stuff like this. So that if you're feeling a little bit down, or do I have that strength to put that boundary in? Because for you, you have a people pleasing aspect that is actually finally going. I'm so proud of you. You are not going to take it into next year. It is leaving.
Good.
You are done. And this is actually the test for that. So the people pleasing, this is why you're going through this right now. You can see, is to say no more. And if you're feeling a little weak on that, you just have to reach out into the Miraculous Academy, and we'll make sure you're not feeling weak on that at all. How does that feel?
That feels better.
Yeah, you're actually ending that. Oh, it chills. You're ending the people pleasing pattern this year. You're ending it. You're like done. That is like huge for you.
It is. It is.
That is so massive. Like, I am covered in chills from head to toe. I am so proud of you. I actually didn't expect to see that in your field today. I'm so happy you called in.
I've actually worked on that a lot.
Yeah,
actually,
you have.
Yeah.
But for it to end like that, so what will happen if people are leaning in your energy too much, and that old you would say, okay, I'll do that, because you will find yourself now, you'll be very surprised, because your system is getting very strong, where you're like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that for you. And you'll catch yourself, because it's just going to fly out of your mouth. And I love it. I'm like, yes, way to go, Jen. Way to go.
It actually started. Because, it's actually started. If I don't feel like doing something, I've actually been saying it. If I don't want to do it,
Yeah, this is partly why all of this energy in your field came up now, because you are done. You're ready to put yourself first. And that unconditional love that you're giving yourself is transmuting everything else for you.
Okay.
It's huge.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetie. Okay, keep us posted, okay? Lots of love.
I will. Thank you. Lots of you. Bye-bye.
All right. We have Madura on the line. Is that right? Do we have Madura?
Madura from Calgary, you are live on the Tracy L. Clark Show.
Hello.
Hi, Madura. Welcome. Welcome.
What you just said to Jen, that was huge. It triggered me a little bit, but I'm excited about that. That just means it's coming.
Are you ready to let go of that too? Can we pull that off you a little more too?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Please. So I had two quick questions. One is my parents, so they've been kind of trying to figure out how to sell their place and whatnot and move to the north of Calgary to be closer to the kids. And we're getting our basement finished. So me and my husband spoke about it, because they're getting older and they're not getting the price they want for their house, and they're freaking out. So we said it'd be great because it would help me as well. But I'm going to be sending them a letter to say, we have no issues with you coming and staying. However, this is what is required for this to work. And I would love some alignment with that, because normally when they come, there's a lot of, there's a lot of clutter in your house, or it's messy, and then they try to clean, and it drives me bonkers.
Yeah.
And so I would love some just
need alignment for very, very strong boundaries. I can see where they'll want to push. So there is an energy that happens, and then Rob, I'll have you jump in here. What happens naturally for people listening, and I can start to remove this from you right now, is that yes, it will help everyone. But here's the thing that naturally it happens is when parents and children, no matter how old you are, get in the same place for more than about a day or two, it's about 48 hours, the bodies with anything unresolved naturally go into an energy of the authoritative figure to the child. So the parent figure takes over. And that's why when they're in your house, they forget, right? They're like, well, you're my kid. So they start treating your house as if it was their house. And they do it very subconsciously, because what happens is the body, the energetic body goes, oh, wait a minute, we're the parent, you're the child. It doesn't matter if the parent is 100 and the child is 70, it's still the energy that they fall into. So what we can do is start to remove the accumulation of the authoritative mother, father, daughter pattern. So all three of you separate and together. So you're on more, so we can strengthen you to be more on an adult playing field rather than a parent-child playing field. That make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm going to move this. So what will happen is you can see with, especially your mom, we have to put in some very strong, clear boundaries. Like the letter looks great. We're happy to have you here. We love you. But these are the things I need you to respect, as it's my home. Because I actually see you going back saying, Mom, I love you. Dad, this is fine, but this is my home. Okay. So please respect my home. You might have to repeat it a few times, but it looks like we can stay on top of it and move that energy out. Rob, do you pick up anything else there? I'm going to just align this for you, Madura, a little bit different.
Well, one of the big things was that we had the same situation a few years back where everybody has sort of decided without us that everybody was coming to our house for Christmas. And we thought about it. We thought, okay, this is actually the best scenario. And we weren't really looking forward to it. And then what we did was we changed our mindset. And we said, okay, you know what? They're going to be on our house. It's only going to be a couple of days. We're going to send unconditional love. We're going to do lots of alignment before they come. And when they showed up, we had a wonderful time, which normally we have a small cottage. Like our house is like a small cottage. And everybody would be in each other's business the whole time. And it just flowed. It flowed so easily.
Yeah. So we can reverse some of that. It's a little bit different when you're in the, for a couple of days versus, right, like staying for a long time.
Yeah, they're going to be coming every week.
A long time.
Every week.
Every week, exactly. So we have, yeah.
And
So
only in the winter months, because they're getting older, and so driving from the south to the north is a little challenging.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we will reverse the perception, and I'm going to collapse some energy too. It's actually going to come out of your liver. So, and I know you're quite sensitive, so just be aware that this energy is coming out of the liver. So hopefully it's not going to make you too irritated. It should be okay, but we'll just dissolve it and liquefy it and let it go. Thank you, God. And what was your second question?
My second question is, I had a potential client come in through my website, and I spoke to him. He's just lost his job, and he wants me to do some coaching with him. I was going to offer him December for free, because December is kind of coming to a close, and then do 3 months. He told me his budget of $1,200, and I kind of said, okay, it would be 2 sessions and then 15-minute check-ins in between, so it wouldn't be all the time. And then he would have access to me. But I'm wondering if that price point is in alignment with me, or if it's too low, if I should price it higher. I was thinking around $1,500. He'd pay $200 a month, and then when he gets his job, he would pay the remainder.
Yeah, you actually fit really nice in the 1,200. And there's also what it is in there as well is you help him. So there's also really good energy that comes back. And by you saying, hey, you know what, I'm happy to do this for you based on blah, 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 right? Setting up boundaries. There is some energy in that gifting that comes back to you. So that's actually really positive, really positive. Like it looks really good. So yeah, so it goes into that, giving, receiving energy, which then opens another energy line in your financial space. So that is like huge flow, because you're also recognizing that he needs help, but he's also in transition. And so that compassion that you see is going to come back at you into your finances as well. So there's a balance happening there, which is actually quite lovely. How does that feel? I'm just going to adjust you to him.
I just got chills from head to toe when you said that. So I was like, okay, that's a good sign.
It is. It's really good. And there's such gratitude with, I have chills now, gratitude in that energy. So either it's going to pay forward from him or something else is going to come from it, right? Because there's just this thank you for helping me, because he's been kind of crapped on a little bit too much and he needs the support. like literally, you were led to him and he was led to you for that reason. He really requires an
he
open heart and
found me on
compassionate.
LinkedIn and then came through my website. It was like, okay, sure, I'll talk to you. And then we chatted, and he told me his
was
budget,
led to you.
And
very divinely guided. So this is beautiful. I would go for it if I were you. It looks amazing.
Awesome. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Video this morning was fabulous. So thank you for that.
Oh, so happy. All right, keep me posted, okay?
Will do. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. So, Rob, what's another tip you might have for somebody going through the holidays and the anxiety, when anxiety comes up, that you'd like to share?
Well, I am pretty much an expert on anxiety because, as you know, I was a soldier, and I left with post-traumatic stress and panic attacks and all that thing. And talking didn't work. Like, you do have to talk, but like going to see a therapist and all that, it's just talking. You're reliving the same thing over and over. And what most people don't realize about anxiety, they all think that it's just in your brain. But it's not. It's memories and emotions.
It's in your spinal system. That's where it sits.
Right.
Yeah.
It's stored in your body. And the best thing you can do when it comes to anxiety is to breathe.
Yeah.
It really, when something traumatic happens, the first thing a lot of people will do is stop their breath.
I know.
And that sends you into the black. Like, that stops everything. It stops your system. It closes the system down. So the very first thing you can do, as soon as you feel any anxiety coming up, is breathe. Deep breaths. Take a
and if you notice, if people start taking the deep breaths, they start yawning, they start burping, because the energy is getting kicked out of the system. It's
exactly.
It's so simple, but everybody forgets to breathe. They're like, I'm running. And it's like so true. It's so wonderful with what you teach about this, because if people would understand, they go, breath work. I'm like, to me, breath work is more important, sorry guys, than yoga, and all these other exercises and weight training. I'm not saying don't do that, but you got to learn to breathe properly.
Well, and most people, the vast majority of the population, they breathe very high. They breathe from their chest, and it's very shallow. The breathing is shallow. So, I mean, I teach, a full breath work that actually changes the body. It changes the structure of the body. However, just online here for everybody listening, all you have to do is breathe out all of your air through your mouth and then inhale through your nose. Just blow it out.
And you're going to be doing an online class in the new year for that, through our site, because you're part of us, part of our community. And for our listeners to know, there will be a 4-week online class. And this is why, because we get inundated all the time with, how can I breathe properly? What can I do? And again, simple breathing, like you just said, methods to take out on the road. So if you're in that traffic, because traffic makes people angry, because it's energy that's unfortunately not nice energy, that is trying to trigger you to get into this darker space. So if you can learn to take a deep breath, like you said, blow everything out, and then take a nice deep breath in, that alone can just say, okay, maybe my drive's all right today.
Well, what it does is, most people don't realize this, is that your power zone, it's a couple inches below your belly button.
Yeah.
It's down there. And what's happening is energy is flowing from there into your brain. And it's feeding that. So that's why your brain starts to snowball. It's this catch-22 where the brain power zone keeps feeding each other. Yeah. And by just taking a deep breath, a few deep breaths, you interrupt that flow of energy. Yeah. And it calms your mind. And I've been doing this breathing for quite a few years now. And as I sit here and talk to you, there's nothing going through my mind except for what we're talking about. Yeah. But most people, they've got that, what the Chinese call the monkey mind, blah, 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 thinking about what they have for dinner later and this, and I got to do this, and I got to do it. And it slows that down. It stops that monkey mind. It keeps you
nice and focused. So I hope you all just heard what that is, because there's going to be a lot more of that. I know we have to take a quick break. I can't believe we're already at the bottom of the hour, but we are going to come back. And I believe we have Dana on the line from Arizona. But I encourage you, during the holiday season, you always need a little bit more support. It's what we do at TracyLClark.com. I encourage you to check out the online programs, especially the Miraculous Academy or the Effortless Academy, where we're there with you every day if you're in the Miraculous Academy, shifting you, teaching you what's happening, giving you the tools. You have access to all the past videos, which there's so many because they're 5 days a week. But really, it's a time that to really make a change in your life. I say this a lot. You need to be willing to stay committed and dedicated and connected. And it's very easy to stay disconnected. And it's why I've worked very closely with the God consciousness. I don't do anything that is not channeled through to do. That's how the programs come to be, to make sure that you are supported, and not just in a hooey wooey way, as people say, but real life practical tools. Because I know what it's like to be in the corporate world when you're not going to be able to say, oh, just a minute, I have to go meditate. You need a tool you can use right now, similar to what Rob had said him and his wife had done when they were preparing to have this lunch. That's what we do, teach you how to be empowered and really see how you can take charge of your life. So stay tuned and come back. We will be back right after the break. We're going to shift a little bit more energy for you and get you through the holiday season. Welcome back to the second half of the Tracy L. Clark Show. I'm your host, Tracy L. We have our super facilitator, Rob Laird, here with us today, helping you to understand a little bit of the way that you can get through anxiety in the holidays and seeing it on a new perception. Because literally every holiday season, you're dragging in all the past holiday seasons with you. So let's thank that hand of God or universe divine, whatever you want to say, of disconnecting the accumulation of the memories of all the past holidays, because they can be good, bad. I've spent 2 holidays completely alone. I know what it's like to be waking up on that day. And, that's when I first started to realize that, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to create my own adventures, my own holidays. Nobody gets to dictate what that is. So just think about for a minute, where are you disempowering yourself by following along with things that don't work for you anymore? Or you're not looking at it in a new way. You're so stuck that it has to be this way because that's how you've done it over and over and over again. So I just want to thank that hand of God, universe divine, for increasing and changing you into a new perception and knowing that it's okay. And you don't have to worry about disappointing people. And we hear this a lot. People say, well, I don't want to disappoint this person and that person. The holiday time is really about spending time with people you love and having good food. And it can be anytime, but that should be all year round. So thank you, God, for reversing the perceptions. And if you need help with that, check us out at tracylclark.com, where we have many ways to help you get through the season. So, all right. Zach, we have Dana on the line.
Yes, Dana from Arizona. You are live on the Tracy L. Clark Show.
Hi, Dana.
Hi, Tracy. Good morning.
Good morning. What's your thought or question today? Say hello to Rob. He's with us as well today.
Hi, Dana.
Oh, Rob, I need to speak to both of you today. Actually,
lovely.
That'll come later. But Tracy, when I was 17 years old, I was with this guy through grade school. His name was Gary. We played ball together. We slept over each other's houses. We were really connected as friends and lovers in that. But he took my love, my first love, really love. He took her away from me. My personality changed at that very moment. I was an extrovert, now turning me into an introvert. Okay?
Yeah.
And I felt personality. I wasn't outgoing from that point. I didn't have that charisma about me. I didn't have that throwing out of happiness that I had. It was gone. But that's not the half of it. The other half is what's happened in my life. I have no personal awareness, picking up no knowing, and picking up no understanding because it's happened to me in a past life. I have no originality about because it's not in my natural life today. It was happened in past lives, and here it is. I was sitting twice in a restaurant, maybe the same lady or maybe a different one, and I'm looking at her and she's talking to me, and all of a sudden something moved into me that made my whole body feel hot. My face felt like it was on fire, like it does when it gets red when it's in the sun. I felt like I was thrown into the fire. Instead of moving forward and engaging, I felt like I was 10 boosts back. That's how withdrawn I really felt. And a human can't give that to me. They don't have that capability.
No.
But this is demonic. It came in demonic, and it fed me, and it fed me twice in the natural, and I believe once in a dream. And I'm totally disconnected this morning. My energy is low. I'm basically teed off, okay?
Yeah.
Out of more awareness and knowing and understanding. but I also I'll connect immediately when you give me a reading, because I need that. I need to feed off of the information that you're going to give me and making me understand and making myself more aware of knowing and understanding exactly what came into me. I need that. I need that because it's fed me.
Yeah, and it can be uneasy. It's kind of like what we say in the community. We sort of go, sometimes that old saying, right? New devil, new level, meaning that there's energies that can kind of cut you off when you're ready to expand into another space. The first thing that actually we need to do is just disconnect where you gave your power over to this gentleman when you were young during the incident. And there is a disconnection that has to happen there. So I've got to go back and clean up the time there of where you gave your power away, which then made you go into an introvert, which was actually why that whole situation happened. Because as an extrovert, you can see you were coming into many places in your life that were going to become more powerful just in your connection, your abilities, your wisdom, how you could help people. So this isn't uncommon for our listeners. It can happen. I know it happened to me when I was young too, where these energies come in to either put you down, shut you up, keep you in a closet. And there are events that happen. And people say, well, they're just events. No, they're energies that happen because they have a purpose. So first, what I'm going to do, and they have a purpose, so the purpose is to keep you quiet. It's no different than the energy that empaths say all the time is, I can't go out into the universe and the world because I'm an empath. I feel everything. That's actually not true. That is a whole bunch of negative energy and darker energy that is trying to keep you out from the world. Because the reason you've been gifted as an empath is to be in the world, to transmute the energy, to stay connected to the God consciousness and be able to transmute. So all this misinformation and misinterpreted, first I'm going to disconnect so we can clean up your timeline. So it actually looked like a few things that were happening as you're getting ready to go into another breakthrough, which I'm very happy because you've come in a very long transition. There are old patterns and systems and connections that are ready to go. You also have a reconnection happening in your chemical electrical frequencies of the brain, which is awesome energetically, which will give new patterns, new thoughts, new ideas. So this energy, which can happen, was ping-ponging like a triangle. So back to that original incident, then there's you, and then there's this newer incident, and they come and they ping pong back and forth. So people can't see me. Basically, if you put your left hand out in your right hand and you draw a triangle from your heart, the energy keeps circulating, which would keep you held down. The great thing is you had the awareness and you're in the right place. So we can actually start to kick it off, which is, I like to just not to make people kind of go, what the heck? Because it can seem a little weird. These energies are not serving you. So I'm going to pull them. They're going to come off of the heart space so we can reconnect you to God, back to the God consciousness. How does that feel in your heart now? Because it's actually draining. It looks like a matrix. So basically a matrix is a group of energy that looks like yarn all tangled. I'm just going to pull it out of the body and it can keep you feeling very disconnected. How does it feel now when you tune in?
I feel my energy field just went up. I feel it in my body. It's resonating what you're telling me. It's flowing. It feels good. It feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. This is actually really good. It's going to continue for about it looks like 36 hours still. So when that energy starts to move and we clean that up that quickly, because you were always connected, it was just an illusion almost, because that's what that energy does. It comes in, and I get it. I felt it myself and had to pull it off. It happens, right? We're human. So when that energy comes in, we remove the spirit of the illusion out, and then we start to increase you. So for connection. So nothing can really fully, I had another deja vu, crazy. Nothing can really fully disconnect us unless we allow it. So an exercise I would give you, and I'd say to people listening, is thank you, God, for my strong connection, removing the accumulation of interference energy. So it only gets to really disconnect us if we allow it. Got it?
God, let go.
Yeah.
Thank you, God.
Feel good that feels?
Yes, it's stimulating me. Yes, it's my energy's going up. Yes, I've recognized. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna.
I know you feel it too. I know you've drawn it up. I know you feel that. I do.
Oh yeah, and there's I'll just say there is a line I'm just going to clean out through the meridians on the left side first of the back, and then I'm going to go to the right We call it scooping them. That's an old way that people used to teach, but it does work very quickly. And I'm going to go through the spinal cord as well, because you have there's 3 pressure points in the spine that this energy also fed on that we can close up, which can strengthen the spine, the stability, and then put you back into your power, back into getting out there in the world and being, who you were meant to be way back when. But that's all coming back in. So now it's your time to step into that fully. And you can see this is where you're stepping into now as we get to the end of the year.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Yeah.
Okay.
It feels
Go
good.
ahead. Tracy, I also have a nerve issue that stimulates from a neck surgery that I had fused.
Yeah.
Goes along the lower back shoulder plexus that I've had that I cannot get rid of.
Okay. So nerve issues. It's interesting and funny you bring this up today. I'm actually, and I know you're in our Miraculous Academy, I'm actually doing a clearing video for you guys as your gift around nerves and the energy that sits in the spleen. Because I went through a lot of nerve issues too. So what we'll do is an energetic chiropractic in the neck, and we'll start to remove the accumulation of trauma in the nerves, because nerve issues are always energetically linked to trauma, right? So we'll start to remove that all the way to, as I do the energetic chiropractor cracks, we call them, kind of a fun space, the energetic, and command the head and neck to go back into alignment. And we're going to just command the thin discs of the base as well to start to move. What you can do to help facilitate some of the growth of this is draw the alphabet. It's an old massage therapy technique, but it works well after we've moved energy, which is drawing the alphabet in a warm shower with your head. And if you can draw the alphabet.
My total head or my neck?
Your head, actually. You use your head. So you use your head and you draw the alphabet, it actually starts to stimulate more movement energetically. I know they do it for more muscle release and stuff, but energetically, it's a really cool thing to do for people after you've had energy moved in your neck and your spine. And it actually facilitates on another level. I don't know if massage therapists know that, but maybe anyone listening will go, hey, wait a minute now, we're moving energy, not just the muscles. So I do that as well. Awesome. So it's energies that have basically consumed your system that we're pulling out.
Yeah, it's connected. I believe the surgery that's connected that I had now is scar tissue, it's soft tissue, and it's
100%.
fascia.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
100%.
feeding pressure on the nerve that's going to my back.
100%. That's why we say we have to start to move and create the strength in the body to open, the thin discs and open the vertebrae and allow that accumulation of energy to come through to release everywhere you had pain from that and the trauma of what happened. Rob, do you have anything you want to jump in there with?
Yeah, I have one fun. You have my name. You have my number. I need to have you personally call me on your phone. It'll be the best conversation, or one of the best conversations that you need to know. Rob, you can get my information directly out of your computer. I want you to call me also. I need to have a conversation with both of you. Okay? This must be done.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
All right?
Thank you so much. Have an incredible day.
I love you. I love you both, and I love everybody in the community. God bless them all. Thank you.
Lots of blessings. So Rob, what it would be, so now that we actually are looking at the holidays and we've had our callers and they've come in, what would be some of the energetic tools or tips you want to give to people that are listening?
Actually, Dana's first question brought up something that's really important. And we're taught from a young age to look outside of ourselves for happiness and love.
Yeah.
Right. So when he was, as soon as that was taken away from him, he shut down, went inside of himself. Right. And this time of year, that's really important because
spirit of loneliness, right? Everyone's like, I'm so lonely. And I'm like, holy man, why do you need a friend to make you not lonely? Like, oh.
And I've been that way in the past. I've spent holidays alone where I was very depressed and by myself and things like that. But that's also because I didn't have that unconditional love for myself.
Yeah.
People think that they need, and again, it's programming from a young age. Commercials, you need lots
Hallmark movies. No,
that's right. Yeah.
You'll love a good Hallmark once in a while, but yeah.
And a big group of friends around you and all that. But when you're actually at peace inside and you love yourself, the external stuff doesn't matter. And at this time of year, particularly, the people think that, getting the newest iPhone for Christmas is going to make them happy.
Yeah.
So they get that, and then all of a sudden they're happy for a day, 2 days, a week. And then they're looking for that next thing that's going to make them happy. Yeah. But once you start using the tools that you teach and that we use in the community, you really start to love yourself. And it's not the external stuff that's making you happy. You are making yourself happy.
I love that you bring that up, because it is about unconditional love for ourselves always, and forgiveness for ourselves. And around holidays, and the next one's going to be Valentine's Day. It'll be out, I'm sure, in a week in the stores, throwing people that something's wrong with you if you're not in a relationship. Well, which is just old programming. Like, this whole thing around when people say I'm lonely, you're lonely because you're actually disconnected with the God consciousness that's within you, the love that's within you. And that's why I'm so happy you brought this up, because people right now need to understand that we've been conditioned throughout the ages, right? That you get a certain age, you get married, and that means, you're all happy and blissful. But a lot of times we hear this, Jules and I were talking about the other day about people who are like, I want a relationship, come so bad. And we'll line them to get a relationship. Oh my God, this is a lot of work. I wish I had my alone time. Or I want a baby. I want it so bad. I don't want to be, and then they get the baby. And then it's like, complain. I'm tired. I can't sleep, blah, blah, blah. Or I want the job. It's going to change my life. And then they get the job and it's like, I'm so stressed. I can't handle this job anymore. I'm so stressed. And that's because they're not at peace inside. They're looking, like you said, for everything external. But when you find that unconditional love of self, you're like, okay, this is all right. Yeah, I like that job. And you find a way to move through those situations.
Well, yeah. And other people always realize, particularly in relationships, people are always saying the other person needs to make me happy. You have to change. You're not doing this right. You're not doing that right. I mean, I went away to study Aikido for 3 months last year. Mm-hmm. And when I was away, Julie and I missed each other. But, basically she said, oh, it's so nice to have you out of the house. Oh, I get my own time. I get to do what I want to do,
Yeah.
And most people would be offended by that. But I'm like, I understand, but we both have that love of self that we can be alone. We can be separated, right?
Yeah, and you can still be separate yet together, and having that space. So this whole spirit of loneliness, you can see built up in people over the projected energy, like you were saying, from media, from friends, that if you don't have something or someone, something's wrong with you. And that is something for people listening. I want to thank that hand of God and just starting to remove that out. Thank you, God, and override to impart that, wow, love being with yourself so much. Love it. Go watch for me, when I'm alone, I'll watch a Star Wars marathon or, like, come on, like, I'm happy. My daughter gave me all shows for people who can watch a little baby Yoda. So everybody knows I'm a Yoda nerd. And she gave us a little stormtrooper, which they're just, somebody made them. They're just pretend. But go find things that you can love to do by yourself. Go to a movie by yourself. Go shopping by yourself. Go for a walk by yourself.
Well, Julie and I, the great thing about both of us is that we love ourselves enough that we bring that love of self into our relationship. Yeah. So we often say, like, I don't need her. Yeah. I want her to be a part of my life, and I enjoy her being part of my life. Yeah. But I don't need her to make me happy, and she doesn't need me to make her happy. So we are two individuals sharing a life together. Yeah. Whereas most people, I mean, if Julie goes out and wants to go do something that I don't want to do, I'm like, nah, man, I'm not going there. Forget it. And vice versa. Yeah. But she doesn't get offended by it. What do you mean you don't want to come and hang out with all my friends and go shopping or whatever, it's.
And that's a choice. So if everybody's listening, just remember to make a choice and really tune in and say, what does that spirit of loneliness, what does it mean for you? Where is it coming from? Because it's actually an accumulation of a spirit of it. It's an illusion. It's an illusion because it's separation, and it's separation from self to the God consciousness. That's why loneliness comes in, because I can tell you how many times people haven't come to that reconciliation within self, and then they get into relationships and they're through, now they got so much karma to go through. Like, that was your first marriage, that was my first marriage, right? It wasn't blissful. It was more lonely in the marriage than out of the marriage, And that's, if you want to avoid having a large amount of karma, which is really changing, especially as we get into 2020, really start to say what makes you feel happy on your own, and stop looking at children or another person or an addiction, and start looking at, usually 99%, it's lack of connection. I say to God, you might say universe, divine, but it's lack of connection to something outside of us that's much bigger, that's connected already within ourselves, and it needs to be awakened.
And one of the biggest things you can do to change that, most people will sit in their house and go, I'm so depressed, I'm so lonely, I'm blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Get out and go do something for somebody else, and watch your energy shift and change.
Be that light.
Be the light. When I used to have my panic attacks, and I had a 3-hour commute from school to home, and I would just be losing my mind, like this big panic attack for the whole drive. And the one thing that always brought me out of it, I didn't notice it really until later, until I started doing this work, but if I saw somebody on the side of the road, I will never pass anybody with their flashers going. They're in need on the side of the road. And I'll pull over and see if they need any help. And I'd be having this panic attack, all the anxiety, everything else. Pull over, see if they need any help. When I got back in the car and went to leave, I thought, wow, it's gone. Because I stopped to do something for somebody else. And it took me out of my brain and out of all me, and looked after somebody else.
Well, that's why people get that anxiety. They're so stuck in their head, and it is me. And I love that you said that, because this is a time of year that you can go out, anyone can go out and change the world and change people and smile and say thank you, and not get caught up into, oh, well, they're anxious or they're frustrated, but definitely do something for someone else. And it makes a big difference. I know I've made a post on the Miraculous Academy that I do a lot of errands on Saturday, because Sunday was our Christmas, and everybody was like, thank you for being so happy. And I was getting discounts. I was getting gifts given to me that other people are like, I'm not getting. I'm like, wow, well, you're treating them like garbage. And they were like, thank you for treating us so well. And thank you for, being patient. And they're like, they've had all this, they had these horrible days, but they said, thank you, you made my day better. And just doing that, just seeing how can you make someone's day better. Will, you are so correct. It takes the anxiety meter from 100 down to 1, like literally whoop, right away. Away.
I want to tell this great story. I was talking to a young fella that's in our Miraculous program, Michael, last night.
Yeah.
And this is about giving. When you give, you truly do receive. Mm-hmm. And he went to go to this event, and he wanted to tithe into a good friend of ours, Joshua Mills, wonderful man.
Yes, we love him. Yeah.
And of course, all this judgment started coming up in his head because he didn't have a lot of money. He didn't get a chance to go to the bank.
Yeah.
So he said, no. So what I did was I looked inside and got rid of that and said, no, this is the amount of money I have. This is what I'm supposed to give. So he gave this certain amount of money in. And about a half an hour later, some man came walking up to him and said, I'm supposed to give this to you. And gave him the exact amount of cash that he had put in it.
I love it. I love that testimonial. And this is something that to the listeners, make sure you pay attention. When you hear to do something, you do it, right? So like Michael heard to go and give this, it's okay. He removed his judgments on himself. That man heard from spirit that you need to gift this. And so by doing that, right, it creates a beautiful, beautiful energy of giving, receiving, blessings. And then you open the floodgate to more. I love stories like that, because that should be happening all year round.
And it does. And this is one of the things that actually came up earlier that I was thinking about when we were talking. And so most people, when they're in this kind of spiritual world, their big thing is like meditation. So I'll go sit in a meditation for an hour, but the tools that you teach, we have a constant conversation with God or with the universe all day long. Thank you, God. I got to have this water. Thank you, God, for this water. This is great. Thank you for the water bottle. Thank you for having a house. And when you start talking to the universe all day long, you don't have to go into that meditation. You're using these tools constantly, and stuff shifts so much quicker.
I love that you said that, because I can't believe we're at the top of the hour. Zach's going to be like, hey, time to go. So quickly. I love that you say that, Rob. I love it a lot, because this is what we teach. It really is. It is to make sure that you're in that gratitude space, but you're feeling it. And that's the key. So for everybody listening, I hope you'll really take what he just said, because that's the key. These are the little secrets that people seem to forget. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out process, but it's a matter of really connecting to what your body's telling you, how it's telling you, what you're seeing. How can you change your perception? How can you do it fast? And then how can you get out of a situation, create boundaries with love and kindness and unconditional love, because it's all within you. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Rob, for joining us for this hour.
Thank you for having me.
20-second bite of what you want to say to somebody listening?
I'll just go along with what we were just talking about. And one of the best things you can do when you have that negative mind chatter come up is say, thank you for this.
Love it. I love it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. Check us out next week right here, same time, same place. Transformation Talk Radio, Tracy L. Clark Show, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific, where we will continue to give you some more tips to get through the holidays and be right here with you, because I know it can be a transition, but you have it within you. I know you do. We believe in you. And I hope you'll check us out at tracylclark.com and come along and really start to empower your own life. We'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Tracy L. Clark Show with me, Tracy L., where I teach you how to live your extraordinary life. Tune in every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio, where I combine ministry, science, and spirituality, revealing the steps you need to transcend perceived limitations. As a remarkable leader and pioneer in my field, I, Tracy L., will provide insights energetically and the tools required to move you forward. For more information on my partnership program, check us out at tracylclark.com.